Alright, so today we are going to be drawing some different desserts inspired by the artist that we have been talking about, Wayne Thiebaud. So make sure you write your name on your paper. And then why don't you all write Wayne Thiebaud. And this is how you spell his name, but you say it like this. Thiebaud. Okay, so we are going to be drawing a slice of pie or cake, and then we are also going to be drawing a piece of a bar or some other kind of dessert, and then we're also drawing a large piece of cake with a slice taken out of it. Okay, so we're going to be using a lot of math words today, and the words that we will want to remember when we are drawing are parallel. And this is kind of a symbol for parallel. It means that the two lines are exactly the same. Okay, another word we'll want to remember is vertical. And we think of jumping up and down. Okay, so vertical means up and down lines. Horizontal is another word you will want to remember. And that means that our lines are going across our paper. Horizontal, okay? And then one other word you could write down is diagonal. And this is the direction of our lines if it's going diagonally, okay? So lots of math words that we are using today, and now we are also going to be talking about different shapes that we will use to draw these desserts. And most of these shapes are going to be three-dimensional geometric shapes. Okay, so to start with our piece of our pie, we are going to be drawing, this is called a triangular prism. Another great word. So why don't we write that down under here by our piece of our pie. Triangular prism. Okay, to begin our triangular prism, we are just going to start with a rectangle. And when we're drawing sketchy and not too hard, just lightly drawing our rectangle in. So these two lines are going to be parallel, so they're exactly the same, going up and down. So these are two vertical up and down parallel lines. Then we're going to connect them with two horizontal parallel lines. So these two lines are straight across. We would line them up with the top and the bottom of our square. Same with these vertical lines, we could line them up with the sides of our square. So you'll be starting with that rectangle for your triangular prism, and then from there you're going to be drawing a curve. Okay, so this curve is because this is a slice of a pie or a cake, and a pie or a cake is round, so the edge of it's going to be rounded. So right here we're going to draw a curve coming from this vertical line. So there's your curve, and the top of our slice is going to be a triangle shape, and that's how this is a triangular prism. So from this curve, we're going to be connecting to make that triangular shape right here. Alright, so that's the basic shape of your triangular prism. Then what you would go and do is add your decorations, like you could curve this rounded edge to make a crust. Okay, or some type of icing. You could also go and add a filling or make this look like a layered cake by drawing in two more lines that are parallel to these top lines. Okay, so that's the basic shape for your triangular prism and your piece of your pie. Alright, so next we will be drawing a bar, and the 3D shape that we would call this in math is either a cube or a rectangular prism. A cube would mean that all of the sides are exactly the same and they're squares, and a rectangular prism is more where those shapes here are a rectangle and not a perfect square. So you can write cube and rectangular prism. Okay. To begin, a cube or rectangular prism is something that you can use to draw a lot of different things. So this is something you will want to remember. To start, we'll just start with some guide dots. So let's draw in 2 dots across from each other. Then after you draw them, you're going to put your finger in between them and draw another guide dot above it and one below it, and these are just straight across from each other as well. Next we're going to be drawing in some parallel lines. So this line, we're going to connect these 2 dots. This line here is going to be parallel with this line here where we connect these dots. And again, drawing sketchily, draw all the way through. That helps you to get a more straight line, a more parallel line to this one. After that, we'll switch directions and connect these dots. So this line here is going to be parallel with this line here. So that would be the top of your bar. It's basically a diamond or square shape. Now we're going to be drawing vertical lines straight down from these 3 dots. This middle line will be a little bit longer than the other 3, or the other 2, excuse me. And these will all be parallel. So this will be equal to this and this. You can use the side of your square or your paper to find that vertical line. So now we have them. Notice how this line is a little bit longer because it's closer to us. When we're looking at a bar, it would be closer to us, so it's longer. Now we're going to draw another line to connect these 2, and this line will be parallel to this line. Okay, so sometimes I like to go up to the line that I'm trying to copy and trace it a little bit so that my wrist remembers that. And I come down here to draw that same direction of line. And then this line, when I connect these 2, is going to be parallel to the line above it here. Okay, notice I'm drawing lightly but sketchy. Alright, so that's our basic cube or rectangular prism shape. It's looking more like a cube, I suppose. So now if you would want to draw in a filling, kind of like our triangular prism, if you want to draw a filling, you want to be that line to be parallel to the lines above and below it. So going this direction, and then you would switch directions on this side, and this line would be parallel to these 2 that are above and below it. And that is how you could go ahead and draw in some kind of filling or frosting. Okay. One other thing you can do to decorate your bar, you notice here we have a little bit of frosting, and you can use this frosting drawing for any of your desserts that you do decide to draw. But to draw that frosting, you would want it to be on top of your cube shape, and I start kind of with a really light rounded off triangle, I guess. Then you're going to draw some diagonal curved lines across. Okay. Then just kind of stack them on top of each other. And then to finish it off with maybe a swirl. And then the bottom you would also draw in some kind of curved shape to just look like layers of icing. Okay. So you could use that drawing or look at this drawing to do as a decoration on any of your desserts that you draw. Go ahead and draw 2 more cubes or rectangular prisms. Lots and lots of parallel lines here. Okay, so now we are going to be drawing our large cake with a slice taken out of it. And the basic shape for this would be a cylinder. So you may go ahead and write cylinder. When we're looking at a cake, when we look at it from the top looking straight down, that shape is a circle. But if we're looking at a cake sitting on a table, we don't see that whole circle. So we draw it as a squish circle, and this can be called either a foreshortened circle or an ellipse. Okay, so that's the first shape we are going to draw in step 1. That's going to be called an ellipse. So it's like we squished our circle, turned it into an oval, a really long, skinny oval. Okay, so that would be the first step. That's the top of our cake. And from each side of that, we are going to draw a straight vertical line down. These two lines here would be parallel, and you can use the side of your box to line those up. So those two lines should be the same length right here. And then after that, you are going to draw a curve to connect those two lines. We don't want it to bulge way out. We want it to be kind of the same curve as our foreshortened circle up here. So just lightly draw in that curve to connect those two lines for the bottom of your cake. Now we are going to take a slice out of our cake. So first I want you to find the middle of your cake. Make a teeny tiny dot. Next we are going to draw two more vertical parallel lines to show where that piece of our cake is coming out. So these two lines should be same as these vertical lines. Now we are going to draw in some diagonal lines from these two to the middle where we made our dot. So those will be at an angle. Okay, so after that we need this line and a line down here to be parallel to show that it's cutting in. Okay, so kind of trace this line up here and then go down here and make another line just like it, another parallel line. Okay, so next you would erase this and erase this to show that that piece of your cake is gone. And then if you wanted to, you could draw in a filling, and this line here would be parallel with the bottom of the slice and the top of the slice. And then finally, to draw in a plate, and this can be for any of your desserts, make a little mark on each side of your dessert. Then we're going to just draw another foreshortened circle or an ellipse, so it's just that squished circle shape. Notice how I start drawing really lightly and then I kind of go over it to make it a little bit darker. And that is your plate to go underneath your dessert. So you can use that foreshortened circle to create a plate. Now is the fun part where you get to practice some more, and after that we'll start adding more details and decorations on our cakes.